You still believe in God. That's not the question. The question is quieter and harder than that, and it usually comes at night. If He's really there, and He really cares, then why does it feel like He's forgotten me? You've prayed about this thing for so long that the words have gone thin. Other people's lives seem to move. Yours seems stuck in the same place it was a year ago, 2 years ago. And underneath the tiredness, there's a fear you might not have said to anyone, that maybe you've been overlooked, that maybe God is closer to other people's prayers than to yours. I'm not going to rush past that feeling. I want to sit down inside it with you, because the Bible does not scold that feeling. It gives it words. Let me start there, because it matters more than anything else I'll say. The feeling of being forgotten is not a sin, and it's not proof of weak faith. Some of the most faithful people in Scripture said it out loud, to God's face. David wrote, "How long, Lord? Will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me?" That's not a doubter on the outside looking in. That's a man God called after His own heart, and it's right there in the songbook of God's people, preserved, not edited out. Which tells you something. God is not fragile about your honesty. He would rather have your real ache than your polite pretending. If you've been afraid that admitting how forgotten you feel would offend Him, let that fear go. The Psalms are full of people saying exactly that, and God kept every word. But notice what David does inside that same psalm, because it's the shape of honest faith. He doesn't stay in the accusation, and he doesn't skip over it either. He pours it out. How long? How long? How long? And then, in the same breath, he turns. But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. He doesn't wait until he feels better to say it. He holds both at once. The pain is real, and God is faithful, and he refuses to let go of either one. That's not denial. That's lament. And lament is one of the most overlooked forms of faith there is. It's the prayer that keeps talking to God even while it's asking Him where He's been. So let's be honest about why waiting does this to us. Because there's a reason it feels like abandonment, even when it isn't. Waiting attacks the evidence. When you can see God moving, faith feels easy. But a long delay strips away the visible proof, and it leaves you holding a promise with nothing to show for it. And the human heart reads absence of change as absence of care. That's the trap. You look at your unchanged circumstances, and your mind draws a straight line from nothing is happening to God isn't paying attention. But those two things are not the same, and Scripture keeps insisting they're not. What you can see is not the full measure of what God is doing, and silence is not the same as absence. There's a moment in Isaiah where God seems to answer this exact ache. The people say, "The Lord has forsaken me, the Lord has forgotten me." God's reply is one of the tenderest things in the whole Bible. He says, "Can a mother forget the baby at her breast and have no compassion on the child she has borne? Though she may forget, I will not forget you." And then this, "See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands." Sit with that image. Not written on a list he might misplace, engraved, cut into his hands, permanent, where he would see it constantly. The people were certain they'd been forgotten, and God answers not with an explanation of the delay, but with the intensity of His remembering. He doesn't always tell us why the wait is long, but He tells us over and over that the wait is not because He forgot. I want to be careful and honest with you here, though, because there's a kind of comfort I refuse to give you. I'm not going to tell you your breakthrough is right around the corner. I don't know that, and no one who's honest does. I'm not going to tell you this delay was custom designed by God as a training program, as if every hard season comes with a tidy hidden purpose stamped on it. Sometimes we live in a broken world, and the waiting is just hard, and reaching for a neat explanation does more harm than good. What I can tell you is not that the wait is short or that its meaning is obvious. What I can tell you is who is with you inside it. That's the promise Scripture actually makes, and it's stronger than the one we keep wishing for. Because here's what God does not forget, even when He seems slow. Hebrews says He is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown Him as you have helped His people. Your faithfulness in the dark is not invisible to Him. Every prayer you prayed that seemed to hit the ceiling, Every time you kept believing when it would have been easier to quit. Every quiet act of love no one else noticed. None of it fell to the ground. You may feel like the waiting has been wasted. It has not been wasted, and it has not been unseen. The God who engraved you on his hands is not skimming past your life to attend to someone else's. So what do you actually do tomorrow morning when the circumstance still hasn't moved? Let me give you something real, not just pray more and not have more faith. First, keep talking to God the honest way David did. Bring him the ache, not the polished version. Tell him it feels like he's forgotten you, and then, even if your voice shakes, add the but I still trust your love. You don't have to feel it for it to be true. Lamentations was written by a man who'd watched everything collapse, and even he could say, "Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed. His compassions never fail. They are new every morning." He wasn't describing a good day. He was describing a mercy that shows up again each morning, just enough for that day. You don't need enough faith for the whole wait. You need enough for today, and it will be there again tomorrow. And second, do the next small faithful thing in front of you, without demanding that God show you the whole road first. Wait for the Lord, the Psalm says. Be strong and take heart, and wait for the Lord. And biblical waiting is never passive. It's not sitting frozen. It's living faithfully, loving the people near you, getting the help you need, tending to your health and your responsibilities, staying in the light you have while you wait for more. If part of your waiting involves something that needs real action, a doctor, a counselor, a wise friend, a hard conversation, waiting on God and taking that step are not opposites. Sometimes the faithful next thing is the step itself. So hear this before you go, as plainly as I can say it. The feeling that God has forgotten you is real, and it is not the truth about you. Those are two different things, and you're allowed to hold the feeling while you stand on the truth. You are engraved on his hands. Your long faithfulness is not invisible to him, and his mercy will meet you tomorrow morning, new again, whether or not your circumstances have changed. You have not been overlooked. You are being carried through something that is genuinely hard by a God who has not once looked away. If you're in a long wait right now, I gently invite you to do what David did, in one honest sentence. Tell God the true thing, how it actually feels, and then, if you can, add your own, "but I still trust you." You're welcome to write that sentence here in the comments, even just a few words, so we can wait alongside each other instead of alone. And if this gave your heart somewhere to rest today, subscribe and stay with us, and we'll keep walking through the honest, unhurried parts of faith together.